Welcome to the Student Ministry Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Cullum, and I wanted to just take this episode 0 to explain a little bit about what the podcast is going to be all about. I've been in ministry for about 15 years now, and I've talked to a lot of student ministers over the years, whether it be at conferences or events with other youth groups or just getting together for coffee or something. And I love talking to other student ministers because there's always something to learn, whether it's from their story itself or maybe it's something, a new way that they're doing youth group that I've never thought about. And so there's always stuff to learn. And that's essentially why I came up with this podcast idea. People need to hear those stories and those conversations. We hear a lot from these big name people that write the books, the big books, and they're at the, big conferences and they're the main speakers and everything. And they have fantastic ideas and I love hearing from them. But there's also a lot of youth workers that are in the so-called trenches that never hear, you never hear from them. And I love talking to them when I go to different events. And so I thought, let's just have those conversations and let's publicize it for other people to hear. There's definitely a lot of things that they have to say that could really benefit all of our ministries. And so that's what the Student Ministry Podcast is really all about. It's us talking to student ministers about student ministry. We're going to talk to a lot of different student ministers who have a lot of different experience from different cultures and different areas of the country and different sizes of youth groups and churches, and really just figure out how they're doing ministry. The whole structure is going to be based around 3 questions. It's 3 questions that I feel like often get asked when I talk to other student ministers. When I meet other ministers, those are 3 questions that usually come up. The first one is this: what's your story? How did you get into ministry? What did God do in your life to bring you to the point where you are today? Because I love hearing other people's stories, and there's always this element of what God is doing, which is really cool to hear. And so we're going to start off with what's your story. The second question is, what's your ministry look like? What your programs look like, how have you built your ministry, how it currently runs right now. It's not all about programs, so we're going to talk about different philosophies and things like that and how you do ministry in your current situation. And the third question is this: what's some tips and tricks that you picked up along the way? There's probably a lot of different things that you've picked up that you were never taught in a classroom or in a book, and they're things that other student ministers can benefit from. So what's the top 3 tips and tricks that you would like to pass on to other people if you got that chance? And we're just going to give student ministers that chance. And so we hope that you really enjoy this and share it with other people. In fact, I urge you to subscribe. Subscribe to this podcast. It's going to be a monthly podcast in the very beginning. We're going to try for monthly episodes. We'll see where that goes, and we might expand over time, but in the beginning, it's going to be a monthly podcast. So subscribe on iTunes or other podcatchers that you might have. You can even use our host, Podbean. I think they have an app. You can subscribe right on your smartphone and everything. And be sure to share this with other people that you think might enjoy it. Other youth workers, other student ministers, other volunteers that might just need to hear from other conversations that student ministers are having to benefit from those conversations. So be sure to share this with other people. I'm also looking to make this better every episode. So please contact me and let me know how I can make it better. And maybe if you have a certain student minister, a youth worker, someone that I can talk to or should talk to in a future episode and interview them, make sure to shoot their name my way as well. You can find me. The best place to find me is probably on Twitter, and that's at Steve Cullum. That's at SteveCullum. And just let me know how the podcast is going, what you think, but also if you have people that I should talk to and interview in future episodes. Like I said, we're going to try to do a monthly podcast. Maybe over time we'll expand it. Maybe over time we'll do some different things, maybe some Q&A here and there. We're going to try to shoot for 20-minute episodes or less because I know a lot of people don't have a whole lot of time to listen. So we're going to try to keep it shorter. If we need to split conversations into 2 episodes, we'll do that. But we want to keep it shorter. We want to keep it simple. And we want to keep it just focused really on what it is, a student ministry podcast where we're going to talk to student ministers about student ministry. And so we thank you so much for tuning in, for checking it out, and for subscribing and sharing it with your friends. I'm really excited to get this started, and I hope you enjoy it. God bless.